I'm Lucinda Sinclair, and I'm the producer and the actress in the short film Pretty.
Beautiful. And how long's it been since Pretty came out?
Yeah, well, we've actually just completed a full year on the film festival circuit. It was actually made in 2017, and now it's 2019, and it's just been released on Amazon Prime, which is so exciting because we're excited to get more eyes on our work.
Why do women wear so much makeup?
How long did Pretty take from the genesis of the idea to...
Yeah, I think overall it was about 8 months from the actual first draft. It was a conversation I had between a really good friend of mine, a writer, Derek Martin. We were just saying, I wish we could sort of work together because he's actually a playwright, he writes for theatre, and I just do screen work. And I said, you know what, if you fancy writing a short film, let me know. And a couple of weeks later he got back to me and said, I've written you something.
Chance, yeah. He was like, I've done it.
Yeah, he said, it's yours if you want it.
Oh,
of course I want it. And the first draft was very different to what we ended up using, but the idea was pretty much the same, and I loved it. I fell in love with it straight away. So yeah, it took about 8 months.
So you already knew the other actress?
Yes. Yeah.
So you'd met her, and you worked on projects and everything with her before, and now this is the most recent one you've done with her?
That's right, yeah. So there's only one other actress in Pretty, and that's Mary Barclay. And I met Mary in an acting class the year before we actually went into production, and I knew what she was capable of, and she just seemed to be right for the role of Helen. So I asked her if she'd like to be in it, and she was delighted to. And we just did a couple of screen tests together, and it just naturally worked from there. So yeah, the casting process was quite easy.
Sounds like the easiest casting ever.
Absolutely.
We had 2 people that we wanted, and we got both of them, and they got on, and everything went well. No one was sick or cancelled or broke up.
I know, yeah.
Fab.
I mean, yeah, we had a couple of hiccups right up until the filming day, but no, thankfully the cast were good.
Beautiful. And was it quite a small crew as well, or?
Yeah, I think in total there were about 8 of us, which was really nice actually, because I was able to give 8 people a job.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of them I'd known, or a couple I've maybe worked with before. I was able to sort of involve the director, Chris Green, who I'd never worked with before, but I would always love to have worked with him because I think he's brilliant. But I'd met him quite a few months beforehand, and he was very keen in the writing process actually. So from getting the first script, he was quite keen. He said, oh yeah, let me see this film, and he had his little input there because he's actually a writer as well. And then it came to, look, we actually need a director for this, Chris, are you interested? And he's like, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
I'll do it. So he was on board, which was brilliant. And I was able to sort of get a DOP through a mutual friend. Dizis Starostins was recommended to me, and I saw his show reel, and it was beautiful. And that's exactly what we needed. We needed that look for the whole film to go with it, because the whole film is just very simple, and there's not a great deal of dialogue in it. So it's all done on the aesthetics and the way that the actors look at each other and communicate that way. So we had to have it quite intimate and quite slow pace really, and that's exactly what we got in the end. So I'm really happy with that.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge when it came to filming?
I guess, I mean, we had a few hiccups along the way. Location-wise, my location fell through quite close to the filming day, as it always does.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually ended up filming it at my house.
Oh, brilliant. There you go.
There you go.
Personal project. Then.
Yeah, very, very personal indeed. Thankfully, I had that as a backup, and that all came together, and we were able to go ahead with the shoot. I guess the whole pre-production stage, you know, I'm first time producer, so I hadn't done this before. I'd only ever been in front of the camera. So to actually get this project up and running, funding is probably the hardest. Even though I'm very, very grateful I was able to self-fund the majority of the project from a commercial I shot the year before. I was able to sort of invest that money from that into my film. So I guess it wasn't an easy organic process.
Yeah.
But that's all
learning
part
curve,
of it.
yeah.
Absolutely a learning curve. And I was just able to ask advice along the way from my industry contacts and give it a go. And I think we did a pretty good job.
Oh no, definitely. Would you be keen on doing more like pre-production work, more like producing as well, or are you?
Yes,
Still
I
leaning
would
towards
actually. I've sat back a little bit and just not rushed into the next project yet. And you know, obviously, like I said, we've done a year on the film festival circuit with Pretty. I just wanted to see how that was going before jumping and doing a completely different project. However, I am now working on something else. I'm producing again, and I'm actually producing a web series.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, which is just an idea that came up between an actor friend of mine. You know, actors, we when we're not busy, it's hard. You know, it's frustrating, but it's also it's upsetting. You know, to not be able to get out there and create. So we just decided let's create something ourselves. So yeah, and then so he actually set me the challenge of writing, which I struggle with. I'm not a writer, but it's like, well, you can write a 1 minute scene for 2 actors and you can produce it. And he's quite good with the technical side of things, editing and stuff. So between us, and obviously we've got a little mini crew with us as well, we've just done a pilot of the web series. The whole series is called Tea on Sugar. And we have just got episodes 2, 3 and 4 written. And we're going to be going into production very soon, so keep your eye out for the next episode.
Oh, fantastic. Awesome.
Thank you.
When it comes to other challenges, how was it going back into acting and back into the creative side after having kids and having a family?
Yeah, if a tough one. And I actually had 6 years out, a career break, if you like to call it, whilst I have my 2 children. And that's a long time in this fast moving industry. You know, no one's going to wait around for you.
Yeah.
You know, things happened that were out of my control, and when I was ready to come back into acting, I was starting from scratch. I was starting again. And I had no agent. That ended a couple of years ago, unfortunately. So I'm literally starting from scratch. So it was very tough to come back into it. I'm so glad I did, because I knew that I wanted to. And I purposely took 6 years away because I didn't want to rush back into it. I didn't feel ready. And it's a bit of a bittersweet thing, actually, that my first project that I also produced was Pretty, because the biggest issues within the storyline of Pretty are how females feel, body confidence wise, you know, body issues. And that's exactly how I was feeling. And the 6 years that I had off, my confidence had gone, my self-esteem had gone. Because when you have a baby, that, you know, a lot of things just change, and suddenly you take on a completely different role. You lose your identity a little bit. Not for everyone, you know, but some women do find that. And personally, I wasn't ready to go back to work straight away. So I took the time off and made sure that I felt ready and confident, because this industry, it knocks your confidence very easily. So I had to make sure, you know, I can get it back into this. And that's why I spent pretty much the whole of the year in 2016 retraining, going back to acting classes, doing workshops, meeting new contacts, and thankfully got a new agent and
Oh,
went from there.
brilliant. What happened? Like, what was the next step after post-production, after you'd finished filming, to get it into like film festivals?
Okay, well, the next step was we actually did a private screening first, and just wanted to show my loved ones what I'd been up to for the last 8 months, because I kept it all quite under wraps the whole process, and they knew I was completely busy and I was working on something, but they weren't quite sure what. So we actually hired a little tiny cinema in Manchester and did a private screening first. It went well, thankfully. And then I was ready then as producer to submit it into film festivals. And to say, that's not a simple step either. And there were quite a few rejection emails coming back, and that's quite tough. You'd think I'd be used to rejection by now, but I'm not.
No.
And it's tough because, when you've worked so hard, put so much effort into this little...
Such a passion project as well.
Absolutely. And it's an 8-minute passion project, short film. It's so special. And we wanted to get it out there. We wanted people to see it. And we still do. We've still got so many people that haven't yet seen it and would love to see it. And the ones that have seen it have been able to say, oh, wow, I can relate to that, actually. We've got some lovely reviews back. So that process was quite a tough one when you might hear a positive from one film festival and you might get a sorry, it's a no from about 10 others. So to get used to that was quite a tough process, but we did a handful of really brilliant film festivals. First one was Birmingham, and I think we went on to do, we did Liverpool, we did Kino in Manchester, a couple of us in between, and it's so nice just to sit as a filmmaker in an audience of film lovers and just watching your film being screened and to hear the reaction afterwards, or to have people to come up to you and just say, oh, that was lovely, and what made you come up with that idea, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's rewarding, definitely, doing the whole film festival process. And it's nice to go in as a filmmaker, not just the actor.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, you can
Yes.
relate to all these directors and have those
definitely.
Conversations now.
Yeah.
Do you think it's made going into acting again easier for you now that you can see the behind the scenes part and you more involved in that? Was that a very natural step?
It is. I mean, I've always had an interest in the production side of things, and I actually worked in TV production for a tiny stint of my life about 10 years ago, and I worked as a runner. And to work as a runner is, wow, what a grounding. And just to get an understanding of how each department works, and also the cast. And to see it from behind the camera, to me, was just, it's fascinating, really, but it grounds me as an actor as well. So when it's my turn to come in as the actor, I'm top of my game.
Yeah.
I know my lines. I'm in there.
It's someone's baby. You're gonna
that sort of thing, because I am so grateful for the work. So yeah, and I would love to just keep the acting going. Keep it coming. But obviously, in between those jobs, there's so few and far between, unfortunately. But I've now got my producing side, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, now
More
create
doors.
some more new material.
Exactly. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's next? So the next big thing, obviously, is you've got your Amazon Prime debut.
Yes, which is so exciting. So Amazon Prime, and there'll be a couple of extra things. If you sort of keep a lookout on our Twitter feed and social media, there's a new channel coming out in December, LGBT, and they're going to screen pretty on that. But all the details are still a little bit vague at the minute. So if you keep your eye out on Twitter, we're at Film Pretty, and that's my production site, my Gal Productions, or we've got the website filmpretty.co.uk.